At PhantomWorks, we make cars better than the day they rolled out. And for us, this is more than a job. Love your car as much as we do?
Wow.
Wow, that is phenomenal.
And we're gonna get along fine.
Yeah, baby. Woo!
What's that? Mostly.
I love it.
Truth is, if we have to pick between you and your car,
Oh, yeah. Woo!
we're not picking you.
Today at PhantomWorks, we've got a new arrival. A super cool and rare little race car, a 1959 Tornado Thunderbolt. The owners, Kimber and Doug, are here to tell me all about it. This much I know, they got the car from her dad.
Okay, so are you gonna race this thing?
No, no.
So its days of racing
Are over. We need to have the car with all of the components. It needs to be completely safe and reliable.
Why do you want to drive a car that was designed as a race car, was never set up to go on the road?
I consider this car a part of my dad's legacy. It was an important part of his life. I have 4 siblings. We all grew up traveling to race weekends. It was a part of our life.
I'll freely admit that I am not familiar with what the hell a Thunderbolt is.
Tornado cars were built in England in the late 50s and early 1960s. They built fiberglass bodies, and they built specific frames. You could buy them as a car, or you could buy them as a kit.
How many of them did they make?
The factory built one. This is not actually it.
Not a popular car.
And this gentleman in England built one himself, so that's why there's really only 2 of them around.
Did Tornado build engines?
No. Most of the cars had small little Ford engines in them.
But this car, Triumph engines. Dad always raced British cars, but specifically Triumph.
Are we trying to get this car to meet a legal driving configuration?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You need turn signals and headlights and rear view mirrors. Does this car have all of those things?
Since I got the car in 2011, I've added most of those things myself.
Doesn't have a horn.
Does not have a horn.
That's generally required to be legal, at least in this state. Do the gauges all work and everything?
No. The amp meter, it doesn't actually register, and the speedometer jumps.
Are we trying to make the car to where you're not worried, nor are your neighbors worried?
Correct. That's exactly
That's the
why we're
standard.
here.
That's what we're after.
Yes.
Okay,
So the family can enjoy it.
so make it safe for the road. What about other things?
There's also an issue with downshifting to second.
Yeah.
It tends to pop out of gear.
This is a really good place to talk about expectation management. Certain things will just wear down and wear out. Then it becomes a matter of, are you chasing your tail trying to fix a worn out thing?
I want it more reliable.
Other than making a car something it never was and getting it ready for the street, which it was never designed to do you have any specific concerns?
The seat is part of the molded tub, so it doesn't move.
So the seat is fiberglass.
Yes, with a cushion on top. We'd like to have something done with the seats to make it so that it's a little more comfortable just to ride in.
Now that I understand where the car started, I want to take a look at it from the perspective of not just getting you out and getting you home, but really keeping you safer while you're doing that.
Wonderful.
Sounds good.
Nice meeting you, Kim.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Dan. Thank you very much.
Today I'm embarking on a short getaway from Thunderbolts and car owners in one of my favorite places, Puerto Rico. I'm the guest of honor at the island's annual classic car and motorcycle show.
And a blue interior.
The people and cars are amazing, but for the cherry on top of my visit, I've been invited to the workshop of a legendary motorcycle builder named Bataya.
Hello, sir.
How are you today?
Very well. Yourself?
Bataya specializes in assembling vintage Harley-Davidsons from discarded parts, and I can't wait to find out what he has in store.
How many years have you been collecting this stuff?
Since 1955, when I first started my business, there was no Harley dealer in Puerto Rico. I was the only one.
When I look around at your shop, I see a lifetime of collecting some of the most amazing pieces of history there is.
That's my life.
What can I do for you?
Well, I have a 1947 Knucklehead. I would like to restore it as original.
You want to restore a 47 Knucklehead. A 47 Knuckle, isn't that a pretty damned rare bike?
That's right.
How original is the bike now?
It's about 70% original.
It is a little overwhelming for me to build a bike for you, a man that knows so much about vintage Harley-Davidsons.
You know, I'm getting older and I need help. And I know that you can get the part and fix the bike perfect.
And you're sure? You want me to build your 47 Knucklehead?
I'm completely sure, sir.
I would be honored, and quite honestly, it would be my dream to build a 47 Knucklehead. So, yes, I will do this.
I wasn't expecting to end my trip here in Puerto Rico with a deal on restoring an old bike, but I gotta say, I'm excited to see what a build on a 47 Knucklehead has in store for PhantomWorks. I'm back home in Virginia, and today a truck showed up with an exciting delivery. Bataya's 47 Knucklehead, and I see a diamond in the rough.
That's the coolest delivery you've had in the 5 years I've been here.
When was the last time you saw a clean Knucklehead motor like this?
20 years ago?
Okay. When was the last time you saw a 47 Knucklehead like this?
Never.
Okay. I'm not the Harley guy you are, but I got excited when I saw this.
This is my excited face.
It isn't a perfect survivor, and it isn't restored. It's just kind of a cool old bike.
Yeah.
Bataya wants to ride a bike like it would have been in 1947, right?
Gotcha.
I mean, right down to the nuts and bolts on this thing. You know more about these than I do. When you look at that exhaust system, does that look correct to you?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm not a historian. I'm a bike guy that happens to like old stuff.
Because neither Steve nor I are vintage Harley restorers, I'm going to the man who knows these builds as well as Bataya, and that's my tech, Mojica.
Harley-Davidson for me is my passion in my life.
Mojica joined PhantomWorks last year, and as great as he is with cars, he actually started turning wrenches on motorcycles, and he learned from one of the best, Bataya.
How long you been working on Harleys?
Yeah, probably for 20 years.
20 years. Bataya taught you.
Yeah.
You're teaching me. We're building his bike.
Oh, yeah. I'm very excited about this build because I think that there's only a couple of those bikes already built in the world, so that's gonna be an awesome build.
Okay.
The first step in restoring this bike is to blow it into 1,000 damn pieces.
Come on. There.
We've got to see what we're dealing with, what's original and what's not, what needs to be restored versus replaced. When it comes to a dissection this important, the devil's in the historical details.
Nice.
What the hell is that?
Look at this. The entire gauge pod assembly was welded on. This is all bullshit welded.
Looks like they was trying to change the angle.
Wait a second. I've got a bad feeling. Best case scenario, this is an original 47 frame that's been badly modified. Worst case, it isn't a correct frame at all. Either scenario sucks.
No. This is not right for a 47 knuckle.
What the hell is that?
This is all bullshit welded.
Mojica and I have stripped the 47 Knucklehead down to the frame, and it's obvious it's been badly modified.
No. This is not right for a 47 knuckle. This is not a frame that we can use as is.
We're gonna need to investigate this frame further. In the meantime, we're gonna start restoring everything we know is original. The owners of the 1959 Thunderbolt want me to transform this race car into a family vehicle, but that's easier said than done.
It doesn't really have doors, doesn't really have a top, it doesn't really have a windshield, doesn't have an emergency brake, doesn't have adjustable seats. I don't see bumpers. You see my point.
Yeah. You can make it more streetable, but it's still a race car.
Let's look at the bottom and see, how do we make this into a family-safe car? Because right now, I'm a little f***ing lost on this one.
Well, first things first, that's not a TR3 chassis.
I don't think Triumph ever built anything that quite looked like that.
That's a triangulated 4-link rear end. I'm pretty sure TR3 had leaf springs in the rear.
Kimber and Doug told me the car is essentially a TR3 with a Thunderbolt body put on top of it. From the looks of it, it doesn't seem to share any features of a Triumph other than the motor, and there are other problems. Look at this. I've got rubber fuel lines that run from the rear of the car to the front of the car. Just too many opportunities for chafing. Holy sh**. What would shred a transmission mount like that?
Then you got any really nasty vibrations in the rear end? Because that'll do it.
Something ripped that the f*** apart. And my oil pan. I've got a frame sitting 3 inches off the ground, and I got an oil pan sitting an inch or so below the frame. We've only got 3 inches of clearance to the ground on this
It's
chassis.
built to go on a track. There's no speed bumps on the track.
Okay, but there are speed bumps on the road. I don't have a problem with what I'm seeing. I'm just not seeing a road car.
It's not a street car. I would just make sure that it runs as well as it should and leave it alone. If you start adding all this other stuff just to make it a more streetable car, you're gonna kill the car.
Right.
If this car is really that rare,
2 in the world, this is number 2.
this is not the car to do that with.
I think that is the plan. We will make it do what it does as good as we possibly can, and that's where we stop.
Yep.
We're gonna start by updating the dash, fixing all the gauges and installing a new face. Then we'll add an automatic cooling fan, repair the trans mount, upgrade all the fuel lines from rubber to metal, and lastly, make the rideability more comfortable with custom new seats and belts.
Bleed the brakes. Let's make sure that all those fundamentals are done and get this thing ready for a drive, okay?
All right.
All right, thanks, Steve.
With the 47 Knucklehead frame, I put Wayne in charge of researching to see if it's correct, and then I crossed my fingers. Unfortunately, the news is not good.
This is not a 47 Knucklehead frame. The forks are wrong, too. Yeah, these 3 tubes are perfectly in line. On the Knucklehead, that center one is offset from the outers.
It's not Knucklehead.
It's not Knucklehead.
Now I've got the nearly impossible task of finding a correct frame and forks. So the plan is to build this bike from the ground up. First, we got to get our hands on an original frame and triangulated Springer forks. Then we'll rebuild the motor and transmission, restore all the sheet metal, replace 70 years of missing and corroded parts. Then we'll add correct tires and meticulously paint, polish, chrome, and Parkerize everything by the book, just like Harley did it in 1947. While I'm hunting down the missing parts, the guys are going to do some work on the original 1947 tins, which unfortunately aren't in the best shape.
I'm just removing the trim off this Knucklehead gas tank so Dave can sandblast it.
After that, it's up to Wayne to repair the rust, get rid of all the holes that shouldn't be there, as well as smooth out 70 years of dings and dents. Once the sheet metal parts on the Harley are perfected, they go back to Justin for epoxy primer.
Woo! Give these some primer, we can get them ready for paint.
Bataya wants a hunter green so deep that it pops black in every light condition except direct sunlight, and then he wants you to see it's green. But it won't leave this shop until it's just perfect. Steve says that the Thunderbolt is ready for its first test drive, and I'm eager to see how she runs.
Steering wheel's on this side, all right. Ready?
I'm driving. You get to drive everything.
That's fair, fair enough. You always do get stuck on that side. Is there? Why does this car have doors? I mean, you know what I mean? What is the point of?
Yep. Dukes of Hazzard style.
Now.
This thing is tiny.
Okay, here's problem number one. Getting into this son of a bitch. I understand that it was built for racing rather than comfort, but you gotta be a damn pint-sized contortionist just to get in it. Well, this thing already fails as a daily driver because it takes all f***ing day to get in it.
I'll try not to kill us.
Got good pickup. Brake check.
Watch yourself.
Not bad.
It's 4-wheel disc.
Popping out. It's out a second. You mentioned that. Pops out a second. Take a good right. Pops out.
Yep. When you let off, it pops out. You're gonna have my hand on it.
Is it trying to come out?
Yeah, it's out now. That transmission definitely pops out. When you're on it, you let off the throttle, it pops out.
Here's what I'm worried about. Is it just a worn main shafting gear? Trying to come out?
Yeah, it's out now.
This 1959 Thunderbolt definitely handles like a race car, but popping out a gear means we have issues either with the shifter, the mount, or inside that gearbox. So we're taking it back to the shop to do some troubleshooting. Oh. They're absolutely right. Car's uncomfortable. After taking a closer look, Steve believes the shifting issue is internal to the gearbox. Normally, the one positive of working on race cars is that major components are easy to get to. Unfortunately, on the 59 Thunderbolt, that rule doesn't hold true. My biggest fear is that once we open up the transmission, we're going to find a bunch of stuff that's simply worn out.
Hey, Wayne, push that one over. Guess what Dale had?
He had a 47 Knucklehead frame, didn't he?
When I have to find original Harley-Davidson parts, I turn to my buddy Dale, who owns the Motorcycle Museum in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. He found me an extraordinarily rare original frame for a 47 Knucklehead. He found this replacement neck because he didn't like the fact that the neck and the seat brace had been modified. So, do you see what I see?
This is a Knucklehead top.
This is a reproduction part, and I really didn't want to use it, but we've got an original Harley-Davidson forging from 1947. Luck must be on my side. Bataya's incorrect frame arrived with a correct Knucklehead neck, a part I couldn't have found in a million years. That means we're not cutting up this $550 part.
We got to take this off and put it on here.
Okay, it's critical that you get this piece off. I don't want you to destroy the frame, and I sure as hell don't want you destroying the casting.
Okay.
All right? Now that the tranny's out of the 59 Thunderbolt, Steve and I need to figure out why it's popping out of second gear. Can you put it in neutral?
That's neutral.
Okay. That's super tight now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So now put it in second. Okay. That actually takes at least as much force. Mm-hmm. All the gears look good, so the issue is somewhere else.
I think part of the problem is inside here, there's a check ball and a spring that can be shimmed for adjustment, for tension on it. Mm-hmm. Like if you move this shifter, see how you got detent there?
Yeah.
That just controls that.
Oh, is that it?
So I think that that's just the majority of the problem there, is we need to shim that and tighten it up. I would like to put a throw-out bearing in there. It just sounds dry.
It doesn't feel good either.
Yeah, the bearings.
That throw-out bearing is All right. Do the shifter, do the clutch system. Let's get this thing back on the road.
All right.
Dale thinks the frame he got us for the 47 Knucklehead was never actually built as a motorcycle. Before we can weld the gas tank mount onto the original frame, we've got to be meticulous in our measurements or nothing's going to fit the way it should.
I trust this reference since we know it works with the tank here, we know it works with the handlebars, and we know it works with the seat.
That is the reference for the curvature of the tank.
All right, perfect. Okay, Wayne, mark the whole thing. All right, so let's pull that tank off and see if that one's in the same spot.
Oh. That is way off. That is...
They are half an inch off of each other. This is so far off, we have to sort of start from scratch. So, Wayne, I need you cutting.
First thing I need to do is get the period correct neck off the wrong frame. That also means cutting off the extra ½ inch of metal so I can do a proper test fit.
You need to take some more out of the front.
At this point, it's baby steps, taking off a little bit at a time and trying again until I get a perfect fit.
It's right there.
I told you we should build that right.
No. See how we're 1/8 of an inch high there? Yeah. And that line is supposed to line up with the bottom of the tank.
Wayne, I think you need to take a skinny 1/8 out of that entire thing. Look at that. That's exactly where it's supposed to be. You can't even put a fingernail between the tank and the bottom of that mount. I think we've got us a frame, boys.
Steve got the transmission adjusted and reinstalled in the Thunderbolt along with the engine, and now Dan's tasked me with updating our fuel lines from rubber to steel.
Oh man, is that gonna fit f***ing nice?
Now, my calculations were correct. Sake. There's just not enough car here to work with properly. Blam, just like that.
We have finally perfected the frame for the 47 Knucklehead. It's been sandblasted and now is ready for epoxy and paint. In the meantime, Mojica is breaking down the engine. I want to take a close look at everything inside to make sure it's all ready for rebuild.
Hey, what do you have there?
Okay, hardware, because we were missing a lot of correct hardware for the bike. Ooh. Chrome. All of our original parts chromed and back, but this is the big one.
Haha. Where do you find that?
Dale.
Oh.
We need to set the neck, and we've got all the bearings, so I want to see this thing start taking shape.
First, we got to manhandle the old bearing race out of the neck of the frame in order to get it CAD plated.
We need some brute force right here.
Son of a bitch really isn't moving?
Nope.
Why the hell are these things so tight? They do not want to move.
Yeah, they don't want to move.
The 59 Thunderbolt's old dash was cheaply done. Flimsy aluminum with a decaled pattern over top. The owners want a high-quality stainless steel dash with an engine-turned custom finish. The stainless we ordered is really pricey. Normally we plasma cut steel at PhantomWorks, but the cutting head alters the properties of stainless steel. So we're going to Metal Concepts. They have a high-end laser cutter that doesn't change the metallurgy.
Ron, you'll see when it comes back what we're talking about.
I'm assuming when we peel all this and punch it out, this is kind of where we hold our breath.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's damned expensive is what that is. That's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Mojica and I are trying to remove the bearing race from the 47 Knucklehead, but it won't budge.
That son of a bitch really isn't moving? We can't get them off to CAD plate them, but I don't really love them in black. But if we strip the black, they'll rust.
Yeah.
I'm okay with using them.
You okay?
I'm okay.
Sometimes we can beat a problem into submission, and other times we have to compromise. Right now, that means we're going with a painted bearing neck race instead of CAD plated. And for the installation, we just have to pack the bearings in the original housing.
Go ahead. Slow.
This is a little work of art already. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Like butter. I mean, just like Puerto Rican butter. You know what I mean?
Puerto Rican butter?
Like Puerto Rican butter.
Today on the 1959 Thunderbolt, I'm installing a horn, which is essential for street driving. Oh God, that is just the most beautiful horn mounting location I've ever seen. Ground for the horn. It's gonna have a real horn on it for such a little car.
Mojica's been working on the engine of the 47 Knucklehead. He's replaced the pistons and is installing the 2 cylinders and the iconic heads that give this bike its name.
How's it going?
It's done. Someone needs to hold the frame, and the other guy needs to put the engine in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. You tell me.
Go. Down, down. Yep, that's it.
That's just fantastic. All right, so when can we ride it?
I think that we are more close than yesterday.
Yes, we are. One day closer.
Today on the 59 Thunderbolt, I'm putting in a new dash. This new one is brushed stainless and really expensive, so I'm keeping the yellow protective coating on it until I get it in place. Seeing as I use the old dash as a template, installing the new one should be straightforward. But guess what? It's not.
Nah, it don't make no sense at all. That's a lot of f***ing switches and shit.
You think?
That is
We didn't do it. They got zip ties all over it. This reminds me of a bad string of Christmas lights. Not only are there a hell of a lot of gauges and whatnot in here, but whoever did the wiring before did some dodgy work. It's going to take some time to figure out what they did and what goes where before we can even start to wire this properly.
Now that the engine of the 47 Knucklehead is complete, it's time to assemble the transmission.
This is start.
Something was wrong. The Kickstarter was stuck.
I'm just trying to figure out why it just gets so tight.
A shim that was new, all stock, installed thinking that the new is better. This time was not. It was probably like 100 of 1,000 over the original one. I installed the old one that came with the bike, and it's working properly now.
We got a transmission.
Then it's all about adding those last critical parts to get this bike looking and running like the legendary Harley-Davidson Knucklehead that it is.
How close?
Oh, very close.
Let's hear it.
Do me a favor, put the clutch on. I'm gonna float it. 1, Got a lot of compression.
Sounds like it.
Oh, ready?
I don't know. Are you?
Good job.
On the 59 Thunderbolt, the wiring is still causing us fits. But fixing it means figuring out what's right, what's wrong, and what goes where. And with no schematic and a mix of wiring, it sure isn't easy.
Is that a f***ing house wire nut I see in this electrical system?
Multiple. They're all over the car.
We've got house wiring in this car.
Wire nuts are designed to terminate home AC wiring. A car is DC wired and requires connections that can jostle for over 100,000 miles and stay together. Using wire nuts is the quickest way to short a car and burn it to the ground.
I got a car full of f***ing wiring nuts. Where is my main ground
I think
that
this is
comes
it.
into the car?
It's going into this one.
All right. So you think this is it?
Yes.
Nope, that's positive.
Okay.
That looks like a ground branch. Forget the f***ing house wires on it. Why does my ground branch have positive power to it?
Don't know.
There really should have been one ground to the dash,
Right.
and then everything fed off the dash. They've got like 35 individual grounds running to this.
Let me see.
I got a fire. Disconnect the battery.
Got it.
There really should have been one ground to the dash,
Right.
and then everything fed off the dash.
Let me see.
I got a fire.
It's never good when the wiring in a car catches fire, and it's worse when it happens while the car isn't even running.
This thing is a f***ing ridiculous mess of wires.
Rip it out and start over. It would take less time to rewire the car than it would to figure out the way that it's wired and then fix it.
What I just saw makes me agree with you 100%. There's a new rule for the shop. When a car catches fire because the wiring's that bad, it's time to rewire it.
If there's one thing that technicians hate, and Steve is no exception, it's wiring a car in really confined spaces. The good news for me is that he's a really good electrician, and this car needs every bit of skill that he has. With the 47 Knucklehead, Mojica's just tightening the last few bolts and rubbing a chamois over it so that it's perfect for Bataya's arrival from Puerto Rico. The master Harley builder is here with his friend, Jose.
Outstanding. Yeah, please. Come on in, grab a seat.
Thank you.
I'm his right-hand man. I'm also one of his best friends. We're here to see his dream bike.
I fell in love during this build. Harley-Davidsons are an 11 on the scale of 1 to 10 cool.
Welcome to the club.
You get addicted.
It's crazy. That's why I gave it to you, though.
Finding the correct forks, the correct frame, that became quite a challenge. You know who Dale Waxler is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He had a 1947 Knucklehead frame, so we surgically removed the neck from the 57 frame and fused it into the 47 frame that Dale had.
Oh,
Once we had all the metal work done, then Mojica goes to work.
Mojica used to be my student at the University of Puerto Rico, and he worked for me for about 20 years.
He's very, very knowledgeable.
I was not sure that we were worthy of taking a bike from a man who's been building bikes since before I was born, but now it's done. I know we've done it.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to go see this work of art?
I tell you, I die for that.
See it.
Holy smoke. Beautiful, beautiful. I never expected it, though. Wow. Oh, boy. Por el libro. By the book. Beautiful. Shiny.
Oh, man, excellent job.
A good job.
Nothing short of amazing.
Thank you, Mojica. I know he was going to do a good job, but not that good, though. Very, very happy, I tell you.
We spend a lot of time just only rebuilding the frame.
There's actually no filler in there at all. It's all done with steel.
You
was not
cannot
easy.
Tell
Yeah.
that frame was repaired.
Yeah.
Amazing job.
And from there, I rebuilt the engine, rebuilt the transmission, put everything together.
We went out of our way to save every single element that we possibly could.
The wheels are original, the original fenders, the original wiring.
Oh, boy. The horn is working?
Oh, yeah. Try it.
Boy, look at that.
When was the last time you have a bike that the horn worked?
Never.
So we painted it with the darkest damn green we could find, and it still wasn't dark enough.
How many tries at it?
Until it was right. It looks black in the shadows, but you can see when the direct sunlight is on it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
It's a solid green.
So this is Dan Green.
At this point, yes.
You can put it in a museum right
I
now.
already put it on my living room and right now.
Your living room?
We can spend all day looking at it, or we can go ride it.
I tell you, I'm dying about riding it right away.
Yeah, let's go.
Ready? ¿Estás seguro?
You have honors.
Hearing that engine roar come to life and feeling the rumble of it, it's sending chills.
Esa motora fue mi sueño por muchos años y ahora es mi motora.
So in the Thunderbolt, it's a nice car, but the seats suck. I'm forming the seat with 2-inch high density foam on top of the original 1-inch at the bottom. Bolster the sides up, form them, shape them.
We'll completely transform the seats of the '59 Thunderbolt, so this is going to be one race car that's a little bit more comfortable, just like owners Kimbra and Doug asked for.
Welcome back. Good to see you again, Doug.
Good to see you, Dan.
Kimbra?
Happy to be here.
So your '59 Thunderbolt, it's a fun car to drive, isn't it?
It is.
That's why I like it.
Yeah. We had a fairly narrow set of parameters that we had to work within. Keep the nature of it as a race car, but try and make it as safe, asterisk, as possible.
Right.
And I was a little concerned about how streetable can you make a 1959 prototype fiberglass race car. So you wanted a horn, you've got a horn. You had rubber fuel lines. Rubber fuel lines are a bad idea on roads. So you now have steel fuel lines.
Excellent. Much safer.
The seats.
They were basically molded fiberglass.
That car was built for anything but comfort, because there's no space.
There's no room.
I mean, I wouldn't want to spend 8 hours in that seat,
No.
but I think they're far more comfortable. You wanted a transmission that didn't pop out of second gear.
Right.
We pulled the transmission out, and then we found the clutch was worn and the throw-out bearing was bad, so we replaced them. Then we replaced the detent spring trying to fix the shifter, and it still pops out a second. Now, I think it does it less, but it still does. Sometimes you have to decide when is enough enough.
Right.
We did fix some things, but we weren't able to fix that problem. Now, dash. What you had was a piece of aluminum with a vinyl sticker on it.
Right. I wanted it to be the real thing.
We had that laser cut, and it's magnificent. But then we went to switch out the dashes. Well, there were a few things like wire nuts and interesting logic in the wiring system, and it caught fire.
Nice.
We can't have this again. And so we've rewired your entire car.
I'm excited to see it.
What do you say we go do that?
I'd love it. Wow. Such a beautiful car, isn't it?
It is.
Every time I see the car, I remember Dad in it. It's nice to have something tangible.
He left you something that you can look at, you can touch, and better, you can jump in it and actually have an experience.
Definitely.
You know, you wanted the dash.
Oh, it's like a jewel.
Every project needs just a little bling.
It's all rewired under the dash, and of course,
Hey.
You wanted your horn. The shifter. It now holds in second better. You can see on the seats, you're actually sitting in a formed seat rather than right on a piece of fiberglass. This is a little wee beast, and it's quite a potent little wee beast, right? When you look at the wires now, you'll notice that everything is shielded and terminated. There's no more arcing and open wires. Your cooling system here, you've got the automatic fan control system. Instead of it being on and off, the fan will come on when it needs to come on.
Okay.
Nice.
All right? Your fuel lines have been redone in copper nickel alloy rather than rubber hoses.
And much safer.
It really is. Is there any graceful way to get into
There
this
is
car?
no graceful way. You have to go up and over.
Yeah. How about your back?
That feels wonderful.
You have successfully strapped a 59 Thunderbolt onto your backs.
I'm missing something.
Yeah, you are. You're going to kind of need one of those. You ready to take it out for a ride?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hey, kids, go have fun.
Wonderful.
It's a race car,
It's
right?
a race car.
It's a race car. Enjoy.
Oh, look at that.
I love that burr.
I do too. Nothing like the sound of it.
Lots and lots of memories with that sound. It sounds like a race car. You're right back there again on the racetrack. Wow. I don't have to worry that it's not going to be safe enough to be in traffic.
I think the family will love it. But how do you feel?
Oh, that lumbar support is, oh, that's amazing. It is just plain fun to ride in that car, but now it's a lot more comfortable. Still has plenty of power.
This car is wonderful. I just love it. This thing just wants to go.
With the 47 Knucklehead, we took it down to bare bones. We perfected the sheet metal and rebuilt all mechanicals, building it back up and polishing this diamond with an almost black paint that shines green in the sunlight. On the 59 Thunderbolt, we tried to stop the transmission from dropping out of gear. We managed safety concerns by rewiring the car and installing correct fuel lines. We addressed their wish list by adding a horn, more comfortable seats, and a custom engine turn dash.